Are you looking for a new daily trainer? Then the Asics Novablast 5 might be the shoe for you. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything about it. My name is Caroline, and on this channel, Run Letters, I talk about running gear, gadgets and events. So if you're interested in that, then make sure to hit subscribe. And if you would like my ultimate gear guide, then check out the first link in the description. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the Asics Novablast 5. Not too long ago, I was looking for a new daily trainer myself, and I saw a lot of good reviews about these shoes. So I decided to get them. Now, before we dive into this review, I do want to give one little disclaimer, and that is that shoe reviews, in my opinion, are always incredibly subjective. What I think is a good shoe might not be a good shoe for you. And hence, in this review, I'm going to talk mostly about things that are important to every single runner, like on what kind of terrain are these shoes good, how versatile are they, what kind of runs can you do in them, and so forth. Before we talk about any of those things though, let's talk about the price, because that's always something important to all of us. So these shoes right now retail for about $150, 150 euros, and I believe 135 pounds. But if you look on the internet, you might be able to get some good deals on these ones as well. And if you're like me, you can also look for them secondhand. I bought these off a secondhand marketplace for about 60 euros and they were practically unworn. So that's always something to take a look at. All right, now that I have told you about the price of these shoes, let's talk about the fit. So I have found that these shoes fit true to size. I personally took them one size up, which is something I tend to do with almost every single shoe, but I actually think that with these shoes you can just stick to what you would normally order. I do find that these shoes are quite wide. There's a bit of space in the toe box as well as in the middle as well as in the heel. Now obviously I went one size up, so that might have to do with it, but also reading some other reviews, people do say it is quite a wide shoe, which is great if you have wider feet, but if you have narrower feet like me, you might want to just, tighten it a little bit with the laces. And personally, I've been using a heel lock often in these shoes just to make sure that I don't slip forward in the shoe, especially when running on trails, for example. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about technical details. If you want to know more about the drop and the type of foam that this shoe uses, then this is not the review channel for you. I don't really talk about that stuff. But I would say that the shoe does have very nice breathable mesh at the top. Your feet are not going to overheat in them, even though they're quite warm. And they also do not weigh a ton. They are not the lightest shoes, but they are also not too heavy. Then let's talk a little bit about the style and looks of this shoe. So the shoe is available in multiple colorways. I'm sure that you can find one that you like. Personally, I find that it is quite a modern and clean looking design, very sleek, looks pretty fast, especially for a daily trainer. And you can just see that it does have a lot of cushioning here. This is very soft, very plush. And when you see the shoe on the shelf, you also get that idea just looking at it. Then let's talk a little bit about the terrain and use cases of this shoe. So obviously this is a road shoe. It is meant for the pavement. I've also worn this shoe on the track. Performed fine there. I've only worn it on a dry track, but I find that a wet track usually still has quite a lot of grip, so it should be fine there. And I've also worn this in the forest, but not on any technical trails. I would avoid wearing these on muddy terrain, slippery terrain, gravel, stuff like that. Because of its cushioning and the bounce that the shoe gives you, it does work well with a variety of paces, which brings me to the versatility of this shoe. Like I said, I have worn this shoe on the track. I have worn it during a few tempo and interval sessions. Performs fine there. It is not a super fast shoe, but it is good enough. So yeah, it is quite all round. However, I would say that this shoe is mostly meant for easy runs and recovery runs, long easy runs with friends maybe. I would be happy wearing this during a marathon as well, as long as I'm going at just, a chill pace, I'm soaking up the vibes, and I'm not trying to break a personal best. If that is the case, this shoe is not going to be worn. I would wear it on the shakeout run the day before or the recovery run the day after. However, it is a very good shoe for runners who are looking for one shoe to kind of do it all, to handle their easy trots around town, when you're just like bouncing around, but also if you just want to speed up a little bit, be it during a race or on the track or during a tempo workout, something like that. So if you are on a more limited budget or you don't really want to have this big crazy shoe rotation, the Asics Novablast 5 are a shoe that, you know, like these guys can do a lot. So it's a good choice. Also talking about versatility, these shoes are quite flexible, which is something I personally really like. I don't really like stiff shoes, but if you want a stiffer shoe, this is probably not the one for you. Next, let's talk about durability. So I have run about 200 kilometers in these shoes so far. That is not a ton. So these shoes still have a while to go with me, but I have a feeling that they will last. The one thing that I would be worried about a little bit is the sole, the traction here. Like I said, I don't feel like this has a lot of grip. So if it's super rainy outside, I would be careful to wear them. Although I do think that me running with these shoes mostly on the pavement, on dry trail, like not technical, and on the track, I'll be fine. So if you mostly run in cities or you have different shoes for when you go out on the trails, then I think these shoes will last you a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a lifetime above 700k, maybe more like 800, something like that. Then probably that foam is going to wear out. It's not going to be as bouncy anymore. You don't have the same energy return, but it will still be quite nice. Okay, so what is my final verdict about these beauties, these bad boys? I think that this is the perfect shoe for a runner that is looking for just one shoe that can kind of do it all and that is not too focused on speed, on fast paces. If you are kind of like a relaxed runner, you know, you just want one shoe, this might be the one for you. And then the other type of runner for who this shoe would be really good is a runner that is very focused on speed, loves to have multiple shoes in their rotation and wants something super comfortable for recovery runs, easy runs, runs with the run club where you're just, you know, running to get a beer at the end. This shoe is it. This shoe will do you well. So that about wraps it up when it comes to the Asics Novablast 5. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and check out that gear guide in the first link in the description, please. My name is Caroline, and I will see you in the next video.